Adriana Bola infiltration plan. And then, my people of the heart, Saturday has arrived, and with it comes that special chapter that closes the week with a golden key. The speaker here is Silvio, his official gossiper and #1 fan of Quem, Quida. And today, Saturday, July 18th, 2026, the chapter promises to be one of the most bombastic in this soap opera so far. I would like to focus mainly on what happens today, always with detailed information, without giving a damn, because here gossip is serious and refined with a lot of affection. First of all, let me quickly recap who may have missed the last chapters. Adriana had a powerful friendship with Nancy and Lyris even encouraged her friend to finally tell Pedro why she moved away from him. Well, my people, according to the official summary released by Globo for today's chapter, things get even hotter. Mau is concerned that Adriana's intention to infiltrate the law firm as an undercover operative. That's right, guys. Adriana is coming up with a spy movie-worthy plan to get closer to the truth. Let me contextualize this scene well for those who don't follow every single day. The Lawyers Association in question is precisely Adamir's work environment, the man who presided over the trial, who unjustly condemned Adriana, and whom many people already suspect of having put together the entire farce that took the protagonist out of circulation for 6 years. If Adriana manages to infiltrate inside, disguised as a common official, she may have access to documents, conversations, and privileged information that she would never get from outside, like any persecuted person knocking on the door asking for explanations. And it is exactly this type of risky plan that leaves Mau, experienced by João Victor Gonçalves, in an uproar, according to the official summary itself. After all, my people, think of me. If Adriana is discovered posing as an employee inside the very office of the man she wants to expose, the consequences can be very serious, from a new criminal accusation against her to a real physical risk, considering the kind of powerful, unscrupulous people she is determined to face. Mau, as one of Adriana's closest and most protective allies in life, has every right to be concerned about this kind of boldness. And here, folks, it makes me reflect on how much this novel has evolved Adriana's trajectory over the last few weeks. Back at first, after getting out of prison, she still seemed insecure, groping the ground, trying to understand how she ended her own life amid so much pain and accumulated injustice. Today, she is already in infiltration plans, playing a complex strategy game against one of the most powerful and influential families in that soap opera universe. This shows admirable, if risky, courage and determination. And it is this type of evolution of intelligence that makes us root even more for this warrior woman. And for those who are arriving now in this gossip and don't know the soap opera well, let me pass on the general context. Quem, Cuida premiered in May 2026 in the 9 o'clock band on Globo, written by Walsir Carrasco and Claudia Sudo, with artistic direction by Amora Mautner, telling the saga of Adriana, a struggling physiotherapist who loses practically everything in a terrible flood that devastated São Paulo, including her husband Carlos. After the tragedy, she goes to work for Arthur Brandão, a jeweler lived by Antonio Fagundes, who proposes a marriage of convenience to protect his own heritage from the family's ambition, and ends up dead, with Adriana being unjustly condemned for the crime, in a trial presided over precisely by Adamir. That's the emotional foundation that underpins every revenge decision she makes today, including this bold infiltration plan. And look, folks, today's chapter promises even more of a turning point. According to the official summary, Bruna is going to go through a very delicate moment of health. Adriana is going to catch a revealing scene involving Adamir, and Pilar is going to set up yet another power within the family business itself. That's a lot of good things to cover today, so hold that curiosity, because in part 2, I'm going to delve even deeper into Adriana's bold plan, bringing backstage and complete analysis of the risks and possible results of this infiltration. Bora with everything, because today's chapter promises to be unforgettable, here in the world now. Part 2. The bold plan that worries Mau. Part 2, folks. And now I'm going to delve into Adriana's daring plan to infiltrate the Bar Association. Think about it, folks. This type of requires courage, coolness, and careful planning, characteristics that Adriana has been developing more and more since her release from prison. She is no longer that lost and vulnerable woman that we saw in the first chapters after her. Today, she thinks like a true strategist, capable of making complex plans to reach the truth that the Brandos try so hard to hide. And here, my people, it is worth analyzing why the Association of Lawyers is the target chosen by Adriana. It is there that Adamir exerts influence, prestige, and power, all built on top of a reputation that, according to Adriana herself, she distrusts. And the official summary confirms that this daring and risky plan leaves Mao Mao, experienced by João Victor Gonçalves, extremely concerned about the course the friend is taking. And this concern is natural, my people, because we know how much this ally cares genuinely for Adriana's safety. Unlike other characters who support her revenge out of self-interest or personal grudge, Mao Mao seems moved purely by the loyalty and true affection he feels for his friend, which makes this concern of his even more touching within the plot. It is also worth noting, folks, that this type of infiltration plan is not uncommon in 9 o'clock soap operas, but when well executed, as seems to be the case here, it manages to generate gigantic tension in the public. Because we are constantly curious, will Adriana be discovered? Will anyone recognize her even in disguise? Every chapter that plan is underway promises to be breathtaking, with that goes she gets caught, looming in the air all the time. And here, I want to bring about an important reflection, with all care and without hasty judgment, about how far the ethics of this revenge Adriana is driving within this well-constructed plot go. She is willing to lie, disguise herself, infiltrate a false identity, all in the name of proving her own and exposing the real culprits for her unjust. Do the ends justify the means in this specific case? That's a question that whoever loves seems to want us, the faithful public of this plot. Reflects a lot throughout this new phase, without delivering easy answers or ready-made judgments about the protagonist's behavior, leaving room for each spectator to form their own opinion about the limits of the search for justice. And while Adriana's this risky plan, today's official summary still confirms another weighty scene taking place in parallel. An intense discussion between Bruna and her own mother, Carmita, which ends up triggering a very serious health problem for Pedro's young wife. And here it is worth highlighting yet another interesting background data. In interviews given to the press specialized in soap operas, Letitia Collin herself has already commented on how much she likes to interpret scenes of tension and strategy like this, precisely because they require a more contained type of action, full of subtleties in the look and body posture, different from the most obvious emotional explosion scenes. According to backstage reports, the production team has invested heavily in costumes and characterization to make these moments of disguise within the plot credible, taking care of every detail to maintain the verisimilitude of the story. Hold that curiosity, because in part 3, I'm going to carefully dig up this horrible scene, bringing an exclusive frame about what could be happening to Bruna's health. Let's go for the next part, because this revelation promises to deeply shake her marriage to Pedro. Part 3. Bruna desmaya. The health drama begins. Part 3, folks, and now comes one of the most impactful scenes in today's chapter. According to the official summary released by Globo, Bruna's after a severe headache, and this thing happened soon after an intense and emotionally charged discussion with her own mother, Carmita, lived by Deborah Evelyn. Pay attention to this sequence, folks, because it carries a gigantic emotional weight. Bruna, already weakened by her troubled marriage to Pedro, who we know still loves Adriana, is now also facing a health crisis that promises to completely change the course of her story within this novel. It is worth contextualizing this moment well for those who do not follow it so closely. Before thising, Bruna had already been living days of pure nervousness, discovering that Pedro had met Adriana again, and taken by jealousy, even going to her rival's house to demand distance between the two. This type of intense emotional confrontation, added to the constant tension of feeling one's own marriage threatened, seems to have charged a very high physical and emotional price to the young wife, and the discussion with her mother Carmita, in today's chapter, works as the final trigger for this health crisis that is now emerging. And here, my people, I need to bring you information with all the necessary care, because it involves backstage speculation that has not yet been officially confirmed by the broadcaster as part of the summary of today's chapter. According to the calculation of columns specialized in soap operas, there is a possibility that Bruna's health crisis is related to something much more serious than a simpling due to stress, which may involve a serious medical condition that will only be officially revealed in the next chapters. I want to make it clear to you, this is backstage information, not yet officially confirmed line by Globo within today's summary, and I bring it with all responsibility, without stating it as a definitive fact, but as an important clue that already circulates among journalists who cover this soap opera closely. And think with me, my people, of the size of the impact that such a revelation can have on the love triangle between Adriana, Pedro, and Bruna. If there really is a more serious health condition behind thising, this completely changes the emotional dynamics of the plot. Pedro, who had already been divided between his duty to the bride and his old love for Adriana, can find himself even more trapped in marriage. moved now not only by commitment, but by a sense of responsibility and care in the face of the wife's fragility. That's the kind of turnaround that generates that healthy revolt in anyone who hopes for Adriana and Pedro to meet again, because it delays this outcome so expected by the public even more. But I will always keep the tone and respectful here, as I always do, without spreading hatred against any citizen, including Bruna herself, who also deserves compassion in the face of a possible serious health problem. And here it is worth highlighting a backstage detail about the actress that Bruna lives. Nanda Marquez has been praised by specialized critics precisely for the way she manages to balance the ambition and fragility of this character, avoiding making her a one-dimensional villain. According to interviews already given by the actress to the press, the challenge of interpreting this type of health crisis requires careful research on realistic symptoms and physical reactions, to ensure the scene has credibility and doesn't just look like an empty dramatic feature within the plot. And it is worth remembering, folks, that this type of sudden health crisis is a classic narrative resource from 9-day soap operas, but which, when well executed, manages to generate a gigantic emotional impact on the public, precisely because it humanizes characters that previously seemed just obstacles for the couple that we twist. Bruna, even with all the questionable attitudes she ever had throughout the plot, is also a young woman facing a moment of extreme vulnerability, and this deserves to be treated with sensitivity, both by the screenwriters and by us, the public that follows and comments on this story. Every day, hold on to that curiosity, because in part 4 I'm going to take that nice break to send a loving greeting to some special spectators, and I'm still going to bring the important alert about the notification bell. Let's go for the next part because the gossip is still too good, and there is still a lot of upheaval ahead in this chapter today. Part 4. Hail fans and Tink alert. Part 4. My people. Before continuing to untangle today's chapter, it's time for that nice break that you already know very well here on the channel, so I can send a loving greeting to those who are always with me, accompanying every chapter, every gossip, every backstage of this incredible soap opera. Today, Saturday, a day of rest for many people, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart 3 special people who commented on our last video. Because each comment from you with so much affection and detail is fuel for me to continue bringing this increasingly complete content to this entire beautiful community that we built together. First hell goes to Vanderleia Souza Martins from Belo Horizonte in Minas Gerais, who works as a pastry chef and has a small cake and candy shop, and said in the comments that he watches the channel's narrations while decorating the weekend orders, saying that a calm voice helps to concentrate on manual work. Vanderleia, thank you very much for your love, and how nice to know that we are part of that very special and creative moment of your day, you see, my dear. Second salvo goes to Marcelo Henrique Day from Porto Alegre, in Rio Grande do Sul, who has been working as a computer for over 12 years and revealed in the comments that he discovered this channel through a recommendation from a family group and that today he already watches all the complete narrations as soon as they are published. Marcelo, be very welcome to our community, and thank you very much for already being so engaged with this content. My brother, that means a lot to us here on the channel. And the third salvo goes to Adriana Nunes from Manaus, Amazonas, who works as a night shift nurse and said that she has been following this channel for a few months, always watching before leaving for duty, saying that the full narrations help her to stay informed about the novel even when working during exhibition hours. Adriana, what a beautiful coincidence her name has with that of our protagonist, have you seen? Thank you very much for your curiosity, and I count on you continuing to follow each chapter here with us. Folks, it is because of the 3 of you, and so many other faithful viewers who comment, share, and engage with this content every day, that I keep standing, researching, figuring out source by source, always with great care, to bring the best possible material about this incredible soap opera here in the world now. Every name, every city, every citizen that you share with me in the comments becomes fuel for me to continue standing in this serious and well-prepared gossip mission without adopting anything and without disrespecting anyone involved in this wonderful production. And taking advantage of this moment, I need to reinforce a very important alert for you, because it really makes a difference when it comes to you continuing to receive this content right. The Tutubi sometimes just doesn't deliver the new videos to everyone who has already subscribed to the channel for reasons that we still don't really know. See? No one here, not me, nor other content creators can completely understand how this type of decision on the platform works. That's right, my people. Sometimes the algorithm just hides our content, without any warning, without any clear explanation. Even those who have been following us for a long time with complete curiosity. That's why, in addition to subscribing here on the channel, It's absolutely essential that you activate the notification bell, because otherwise there's a real chance that you'll stop receiving our new videos forever and just lose the hottest gossip and most complete of the soap opera and so many other subjects that we cover here with so much affection and responsibility. You don't take that risk, see folks? Activate the bell right now. It's quick. It only takes 2 seconds of your time and ensures you don't stay out of any good gossip going forward. Going back to today's chapter. In part 5, I'm going to reveal the scene that promises to leave everyone's jaw drop, involving Adriana catching Adamir in a very compromising situation. Bora for the next part. Because this scandal promises to further shake the reputation of this very suspicious criminal. Part 5. Adriana Flagra. Adamir with Sueli. Part 5, folks, and now it's time to unravel one of the most suspicious scenes in today's episode. According to the official summary released by Globo, Adriana observes Adamir with her secretary, Sueli, in a climate that the summary itself suggests to be suspicious. Pay attention to this scene, folks, because it might be exactly the kind of information Adriana needs to the reputation Adamir has built for society over all these years. And look how interesting the coincidence of timing within the plot is. Precisely in the same chapter in which Adriana eyeing a daring plan of infiltration in the Lawyers Association to get closer to the truth about Adamir, she already manages, through pure attentive observation, to detect suspicious behavior involving the investigation target himself. This shows how the screenwriters of Whoever Takes Care know how to build narrative tension in an intelligent way, delivering small victories to the protagonist without solving everything at once, keeping the public always too hungry. Who is this Sueli, you must be wondering? She is Adamir's trusted secretary, someone who is on top of much of his professional routine, including papers, documents, and classified information related to the case that convicted Adriana. If there really is some kind of closer relationship, or even a love affair between the two, it could represent a gigantic strategic fragility for Adamir, because extramarital relationships or undue involvement in the work environment tend to be accompanied by secrets. And secrets, my people, they are exactly the kind of ammunition Adriana is hunting with so much determination. And here, folks, I need to be transparent with you. The official summary uses the term suspicious climate to describe this encounter between Adamir and Sueli, but it doesn't exactly detail the nature of that suspicion, whether it's a love affair, and complicity in hiding evidence, or some other form of unethical behavior. I'm not going to release details that the network has not yet officially confirmed, because that's a non-negotiable rule for that channel. What I can do, responsibly, is show you how much this scene opens important doors to Adriana's investigation, whatever the exact nature of that suspicion. And think to me, my people, about the size of the irony of this scene. Adamir, the man who presided over the trial, who unjustly condemned Adriana, the man who has always presented himself as a figure of authority and integrity within the judicial system, maybe hiding a successful unethical behavior from everyone's nose, within the work environment itself. This reinforces that sense of healthy revolt that we feel as a public, seeing that those who should represent justice may actually be mired in hypocrisy and secrets. I'll always keep the tone here, like I always do. But it cannot be denied how satisfying this type of discovery is to follow within the plot. And it is worth remembering, folks, that Dan Stolbach, the actor who lives with Adamir, has been praised precisely for the way he builds this universe full of layers, someone who manages to look respectable and at the same time leave subtle clues that there is something obscure behind that belief of the right man. This type of performance contained, full of nuances in the look and posture, is what makes the public increasingly suspicious of this character, even without definitive evidence still presented by the plot. And this kind of discovery also raises an interesting question about similarities within the plot. Is Adriana going to use this information on her own, saving it as an asset to use at the right time? Or is she going to share this suspicion with Nancy, Lyris, and Mau Mau, further strengthening the collective revenge strategy that the group has been building together in the last chapters? This type of decision says a lot about the evolution of intelligence, which has learned over time that sharing information with trusted allies is often more effective than keeping secrets alone. Hold that curiosity, because in part 6 I'm going to bring another bomb from this chapter today. Pilar articulating a power coup within the very command structure of the Brando family company. Out for the next part, because this dispute over power promises to be as dirty as anything else we've seen in this soap opera so far. Part 6. Pilar weapon blow against Tiago. Part 6, folks, and now it's time to dig up another bomb from this chapter full of twists and turns. And here, my people, it is worth highlighting how much this movement of power happens in parallel with the investigation that Adriana is conducting against the whole family. It is as if we are watching two wars happening at the same time. On the one hand, the external battle of Adriana, Nancy, Lyris, and Mau Mau trying to expose the truth and get justice. On the other hand, the internal battle within the Brando family itself, with Pilar consolidating more and more personal power, probably at the expense of other relatives who are also interested in the family fortune. This type of double conflict is pure gold for a 9 o'clock soap opera, because it multiplies the possibilities of upheaval and keeps the public always aware of multiple fronts of dramatic tension. And why did Pilar choose Ulysses, lived by Alexandra Borges, to share this plan to dismiss James? Ulysses, being Arthur's brother, also has a direct interest in the course of the company and the family's fortune, and can be a valuable ally for Pilar to carry out this power with more security and internal support. Or is Pilar actually testing out Ulysses' loyalty, trying to figure out which side he really is on in this contest? This type of familiar chess game is inconvenient to follow, because every citizen within the Brando family always seems to carry hidden second intentions. And here I want to bring an important reflection, my people. Will Pilar's hunger for power end up being, in the end, the very reason for her falling into this plot? Often in soap operas like this one, characters who accumulate too much power in such a calculating and unscrupulous way, they end up creating internal enmities that turn against themselves back in the final stretch of the story. If James is really unfairly ousted, he can become an unexpected ally for Adriana, joining forces against the same common enemy, Pilar. And this kind of power conflict also reinforces the central theme of this soap opera: unbridled ambition, driven by greed and control. It ruins family relationships and creates enmities that could be avoided if there were more genuine love and less mutual financial interest in the decisions of this rich and, at the same time, so emotionally poor family. It is this contrast between material wealth and emotional poverty that whoever loves so masterfully builds chapter after chapter, always bringing those deeper layers behind the most obvious drama. Hold on to that curiosity, because in part 7 I'm going to bring you that backstage information I promised back there, involving a possible serious medical revelation about Bruna's health, as well as a complete overview of where this new phase of the plot is headed. Let's go for the next part, because this analysis promises to change the way you see this love triangle completely. Part 7. Exclusive frame. Bruna's of health. Part 7, folks, and now I'm going to bring you that more in-depth behind-the-scenes information about Bruna's health, always with all the responsibility and care that you already know from this channel. According to the calculation already released by columns specializing in soap operas, there is a possibility that Brunazing, shown in today's chapter, is related to a much more serious medical condition, possibly linked to a serious problem, which will only be officially confirmed by the plot in the next chapters. I need to reinforce, folks. This is behind-the-scenes information, not yet officially embedded word for word in the summary of today's chapter released by Globo, but which already circulates with force among specialized journalists who cover this novel closely, so I bring it with total transparency, making clear what is confirmed and what is still anticipation. And think with me, folks, about the size of the dramatic impact that such a revelation can bring to the entire plot of this novel. If this more serious health condition really exists behind Brunazing, it completely changes the emotional dynamics between the three vertices of this very delicate love triangle: Adriana, Pedro, and Bruna. Pedro, who had already been extremely divided between his commitment to the bride and the old love he never managed to adopt for Adriana, can see himself even more tied to marriage, moved now by an even stronger sense of responsibility and care in the face of the fragility of his wife's health. This postpones and a lot that reunion so by the public between Adriana and Pedro, generating that healthy revolt in those who support the main couple in this story. And here, my people, I also want to bring a broader overview of where this new phase of the plot is heading, always based on information already confirmed or anticipated by reliable journalistic sources. According to this broader panorama, published in specialized columns about the next chapters of this week, Adriana has been intensifying her search for justice through multiple simultaneous fronts. The audience with Nancy, Lyris, and Mau Mau, the bold plan to infiltrate the law firm, and now this possible discovery involving Adamir and Sueli. All of this indicates that the plot is approaching an important turning point, where several strands of Adriana's investigation begin to intertwine in a more concrete way. And it is also worth noting, my people, that this new phase of the plot, according to specialized columns, promises to reveal important information about its true identity, a delicate character experienced by the very talented Natalia Dill, whose presence in the life of Otaniel, Adriana's grandfather, carries secrets that have not yet been completely revealed by the public. This revelation, scheduled to happen over the next few weeks, promises to open a new mystery chapter within this plot already so rich in secrets and surprising twists. And here I need to take a break to reinforce once again this channel's commitment to serious and responsible calculation. I know that many people like gossip, full of exaggerated speculation, but my job here is always to clearly separate what is a confirmed fact from what is anticipation or backstage speculation. Because this transparency is what builds real trust between this channel and you, my dear viewers, over time. I always prefer to sin from overcare rather than risk spreading incorrect information that could damage the credibility of the work I do so fondly every day. And thinking about everything we've discussed so far, folks, it's evident that Quem Cuida is entering a phase of gigantic dramatic intensification, where virtually all plot cores, from the most central to the most peripheral, begin to converge to increasingly decisive confrontations and revelations. It is this kind of careful narrative construction that makes this novel one of the greatest hits in the 9 o'clock strip. Currently on display on TV Globo's schedule, gaining more and more dynamism and engagement on social networks. Hold on to that curiosity, because in Part 8, I'll bring up the question I promised there at the beginning of this narration, plus a final reflection on everything we discussed today. Let's go to the next part because the final stretch of this full narration is coming, and there's still a lot of good ahead of us. Part 8. Freedom and reflection for the day. Part 8, my people. The time has finally come for that special question I promised at the beginning of this narration. Taking into account everything we commented on today, Adriana's daring plan to infiltrate the Lawyers Association, Bruna's systematicing, the suspicious flag involving Adamir and Sueli, and this armed power dispute by Pilar against Tiago, I want to know from you. Do you believe that Adriana will be able to infiltrate the law firm without being discovered by Adamir and his team? Comment down here with yes or no, and tell me the reason for your answer, because I love reading the sincere opinion of each one of you about the directions of this incredible plot that we follow together every week with so much affection. And let me share a quick reflection on everything we've seen today, my people. This Saturday episode delivered a veritable festival of twists and turns, each pushing the main plot forward in a different way. Adriana's plan shows her evolution as a determined strategist. Brunazing opens a new layer of emotional drama within the central love triangle. The flag of Adamir with Sueli points to the possible hidden weaknesses of the most respected villain in this plot. And Pilar's power struggle against James shows that even within his own rich and powerful family, no one is completely secure of his own rank. And think with me, folks, about the size of the ability of screenwriters Walter Carrasco and Claudia Soto to balance so many simultaneous narrative cores within a single chapter without the plot looking confused or overloaded. Each scene we commented on today carries its own consequences, but it also connects, directly or indirectly, to Adriana's main thread, her tireless quest for justice and truth. It's that kind of careful tying that separates a quality novel from the nine of any plot, full of loose subplots with no clear narrative purpose. And about this possible medical revelation involving Bruna, I would like to invite you to sincere reflection with me. Of who supports this or that couple within the plot, it is worth remembering that within fiction and in real life, serious health problems deserve to be treated with sensitivity, without exaggerated table twists or emptations about the suffering of others, even if it is the suffering of a character that many people do not like so much. Quem Cuida bears this name precisely because it proposes a constant reflection on what it means to really love, to really care, even in the midst of rivalries and intense conflicts like the ones we follow in this plot every week. And here, my people, I want to record once again my professional commitment to you. Everything I bring to this channel is always based on official and foreign sources. Be it the summary released by Globo itself, be it backstage information already published by communication vehicles specialized in soap operas and entertainment, always making clear to you the difference between confirmed fact and speculative anticipation. I don't invent anything. I don't distort facts to create cheap sensationalism, because the respect you have for this channel and the trust you place in every complete narration I produce. It's something I take extremely seriously, day after day, chapter after chapter, without any suggestions. And it is worth highlighting, folks, how this type of chapter full of multiple narrative fronts prepares the ground for an even more intense final stretch, since tomorrow, Sunday, is usually a day of reprise or reflection on everything that happened during the week. So this Saturday, full of twists and turns, serves as a real closing and hook for next Monday, when the soap opera resumes its normal rhythm of recording. Let's go to Part 9, the last of today's full narration, where I'll close with a general summary of everything that happened in this busy Saturday chapter, and also leave a special message of thanks to whom came here with me until the end of this journey of good and responsible gossip. Part 9. Closure and Acknowledgement. Part 9. The last of today's full narration. And look, my people, what a Saturday to remember. Let me quickly recap everything that happened today, Saturday, July 18th, 2026, in the chapter of Quem, Cuida, according to the official summary released by Globo. Mau Mau was concerned about Adriana's bold plan to infiltrate the undercover law firm. Bruna, after an intense argument with her mother Carmita, felt a severe headache and suddenly passed out, opening up a new layer of emotional drama within the central love triangle of the plot. Adriana observed Adamir in a suspicious mood next to Secretary Swelly, raising distrust about the conduct of the most respected villain in this soap opera. And Pilar revealed to Ulysses her plan to remove Tiago from the presidency of the Brando family company, showing that her hunger for power has no limits. It was one of those chapters of leaving everyone with a humble heart, my people, mixing strategy, health drama, suspicion of betrayal, and power struggle, all within a single episode so well constructed. And look, this type of chapter shows the size of the talent and dedication behind this production, from screenwriters Walsir Carrasco and Claudia Sudo, through the artistic direction of Amora Mautner, to each of the actors who give life to these complex characters and full of layers: Leticia Collin, Che Suede, Isabel Teixeira, Dan Stulbach, Nanda Marcus, Deborah Evelyn, João Victor Gonçalves, Alexandre Borges, and so many other talents who make this soap opera such a huge success on TV Globo's 9 o'clock night track. And before I say goodbye to you for today, let me reinforce again, with all affection and attention, this important alert. The 22B, unfortunately, sometimes does not deliver the new videos to everyone who is already subscribed here on the channel for reasons that we still don't really know, see? A goal that will help us continue to produce content with even more quality, more research, more real backstage for you. And the cool thing is that we always follow back those who subscribe here, because for me, this is a two-way street. You give me attention and affection every day, and I insist on giving back this real affection. So if you're not part of this community yet, this is the right time to sign up, bell on, and come with me to accompany each chapter of this incredible soap opera, always with responsibility, without invented gossip, and without disrespecting anyone involved in this production, here in the world now. And to close with a golden key, let me share one last reflection, my people. Quem, Cuida continues to prove, chapter after chapter, that it is possible to build a soap opera of the 9 full of tension, revenge, health drama, and power disputes, without ever losing sight of what really matters: human relations, the search for justice, and the ability to rebuild even after the worst injustices. Each character, from the most protagonist to the most supporting, carries an emotional truth that makes us identify, get excited, and truly hope for the outcome of this well-told story. So, if you want to continue receiving this complete, detailed coverage, and always based on an electronic source of Quem, Cuida, and so many other subjects that we cover here, run right now and activate this bell. It's quick, takes 2 seconds, and makes all the difference for you not being left out of any good gossip going forward. This channel is on a beautiful walk towards the 10,000 subscribers. People, I, Silvio, want to thank from the bottom of my heart every second that you dedicated to watching this complete narration so far, from beginning to end, with so much patience and affection. I know it was a long content, full of detail, full of context, and exclusive backstage, but it was done with all affection, precisely for you to understand each nuance of this wonderful chapter of Quem, Cuida. Thank you very much for trusting this channel to stay informed with seriousness and responsibility about the world of soap operas, and I am already looking forward to bringing you full coverage of the next chapter as soon as it is officially shown. A big kiss, a really tight hug, and until the next narration, see? Stay with God. Have a blessed weekend with the one you love. And I don't agree. Comment down here with yes or no on the question I asked back there, because I really want to know your opinion. See you later, my people.